I wanted to talk about 2022 on this recording. One thing I was thinking about is about how hard this year was of 2022. I was going through a lot of stuff, but I think that I mustn't forget the good things that was going on. But when my mother was having an infection in October, that really was scary, and I had to make sure she was okay. And she had to get surgery to remove something on the lower of her arm, and just, going through that, worrying about losing your mother. That's a very scary thing. And then in August, when somebody shot through my window, it's just the area had more violence and trouble. Someone was reckless. It's just sometimes in life, it's like so much made me want to move, and I was not someone to complain, to like to be content. I got to visit with my sister, but one thing I also realized was, the care home's rules are sometimes so strict they don't even let you tap, your family members on the hand or the arm. They can't sit too close to. It just sometimes, it's not fun having to deal with other people's rules, but having to see my sister struggle and adapt the past 5.5 years to, I guess you could almost say it's 6 now, because December was the month she moved away in 2016. So it was like a long, many years of growth. But I got to see her a lot of times this year, but it wasn't always pleasant. All the visits, care workers and stuff can be very strict, but there was still some enjoyment. But I was just thinking about this year. I also ended up having to, be by myself more. And, because I've had anxiety, it wasn't always easy. But, to deal with that, I had to face what some people fear is called loneliness. But I think it's just a state of mind. And one of the more important things is to handle life in a positive way, in a hopeful way, because it gets challenging. A lot of things can hit. I'm thankful to be alive. I'm glad for the good successes I've had. But I also had a wisdom tooth removal earlier this year, and I couldn't open my mouth for a couple of weeks, and it was hard to chew. I just felt like with this year, it's like challenges. And then when my sister was not allowed to be her own guardian, and then the court papers were accusing me and my mother of making it seem like we're not good caretakers, I wasn't able to speak up for myself because they never gave me another chance, when about the courts. But you look at all those things, and you can't let the bad times get you down. You got to still believe in good things. So what I started to do, just try to enjoy myself in life. Try to eat a sandwich, have a good time. Search for recordings. I found 24 season 1. That was one of the best parts of the year back in April. And I found season 2 as well. There was a lot of things, kind of gathering up the past couple of years, and it was a great archiving. And then I just found 24 season 3 just recently, and I was just going to get that. So when I think about that, and then I was recording video games, but it just, sometimes I had to motivate myself, because there's this feeling of depression when you face, life and death situations. It's really difficult to pull through that. You want to pull through, but I'm going to say from experience that when you live through hard times, and I've already lived through it many times, not having money from 2005 to 12, living poor, going for giveaways, dealing with emotional loss. I've been through hard things, but I noticed that sometimes when the stakes was raised, you live one day at a time. It's always that way too. Even when it was there was no money, there was no opportunities, It's one day at a time. But I think this year, one of my greatest wishes is to be stronger, to be able to handle it. I would be most proud in my life, and my greatest achievement would be for me to have been able to conquer the sensitivities and the fears of this life. I mean, to stand strong and be able to face that. That's the best victory in life. I mean, to be able to defeat it, actually, defeat the fears, to be able to grow and learn. That is just such success. And I'm just so devoted to my family. And I just always want to know that I know for sure that I never would ever desert them. Even though I've been by myself, it's like the circumstances of life. You can't complain about it. I know that sometimes when things like that happen, you want more time with your loved ones. You want more time. There's some good things. It's like the best of time and the worst. And I thought that was just such a true saying. But even now with this kind of lump on my leg, I got, kind of concerned about it being blood clot or if it was a wound. But I mean, I even had to get rid of bed bugs because they were coming back and forth the past couple of years. But finally, they were eradicated at the beginning of the year. But I mean, it's just such an uphill struggle. Life is such a hard thing. And I don't know what to say about it sometimes. When you go through so much, you just don't know what to say about it. You know the wisdoms, the wise. It's an everyday carry forward mindset of positivity. And if you're ever facing troubles, the most important thing to do